Low quality fans of a high quality Bruins team, welcome back. It is officially the offseason. And I know it's officially been the offseason for over a month, but we're finally reached that point where nothing's really going on. So we're going to be super cash now. The casualists. I actually don't know if it's legal to drink a mystery drink. You don't know what that is on YouTube. I know. You know, in commercials, like in America, you're not allowed to drink a beer in the commercial. Like, you'll never see them actually drink the beer. So I don't know if that's gonna make the cut. Now, there are two things that have happened in the last couple hours that we do got to do some house cleaning on. We got to talk about Bruce Cassidy has been chosen to be an assistant coach for Team Canada. Very cool. He's under John Cooper. Just some bullshit to me. Back-to-back cup winner. Oh, look at you. You're such a good coach. You have all this talent. Cassidy deserves it. Actually, Trotz probably deserves it. Trotz will also be an assistant coach, but whatever. Also worth mentioning is Fabian Lysell. That is going to have 18 different pronunciations as we go along. Has signed his ELC already, his entry-level contract. The reason that's so interesting is because Lysell is 18 years old and was just drafted in the first round at pick 21 by the Boston Bruins. What's curious about this is we're burning a year of his entry-level contract really early. Now, we have had success with this in the past, Pastrnak being the most glaring success of it all. But there's a risk with this. You're burning a year of development early. And I don't mean that in a serious way. Like, you still have his rights. It's not like you miss out on him after that ELC is up. But I've always been of the mind that bringing in a potential top 10 talent like that, while he's still cheap, is the best way to do it. You see this a lot in the NFL, where like the best way to win is have a cheap quarterback. Patrick Mahomes on his first deal, Josh Allen on his first. Like, you've got these all-star quarterbacks who are allowing that other money that's going to get spent on them eventually to go through the rest of the roster. It's not a perfect metaphor, but it is odd that we get him started on the ELC right away. What it really means is we're very high on him, and he was unhappy where he currently was. It means that he's probably going to try to push for a spot on the actual NHL roster, not this year, but next year. Today's video is a 1 through 32 power rankings of the entire league, and you're in luck. I'm not going to start at 32. I thought about that, how people always do that in articles and stuff, and the bullshit with, oh, I got to scroll all the way down to see. My channel is not a league-wide channel. I want fans of other teams to come here and enjoy and chat. It's a Bruins channel, right? I'm not, right? If I start at 32, shocker, I have the Bruins in the top 10. We're taking a while to get there. Now, like, the hockey guy, he starts at 32 and it makes sense because he's going through every single team and every single team watches him. Doesn't make sense for me to do that. I'm not going to force you to watch more of the video because I know a lot of you are going to get to where the Bruins are and you're going to go, okay, bye, see you next video. You're still appreciated. Also, a quick shout out to the new subscribers. We're gaining subscribers almost daily at this point, which is still kind of crazy to me. And to the OG subscribers, because there's some of you, I noticed the names that are coming up in the comments. Like, there's some of you, game 6 of the season, you were commenting on videos, and here we are 6 months later. Love it. You'll love to see it. But let's get right into this. And this might be a longer video because 32 teams. I'm going to try not to drag any of them out. But number 1 was actually harder to call than I thought. Because the God honest truth, no teams actually got better externally. Not really. There are a few. But none of the top teams, you look at the changes they made and you go, wow, they really improved. The Bruins were almost one, but then Krejci retires. Tampa had to lose their whole second line. You have Colorado, who lost their starting goaltender along with some depth. It's hard to say that any team at the top actually improved. It felt like who took the least step back. And frustratingly enough, because I actually wanted to punish them for the way the playoffs went, but I just can't do it, the Colorado Avalanche are your number one power ranked team going into next season. This is so early. I feel like we have months until the season starts, so this might all change. I might do a new power rankings if they change enough come 1 week before the season. But yes, the Colorado Avalanche. Now they do lose Grubauer, Donskoy. I don't like the loss of Graves. They lost depth in their starting goalie. But Kemper's a great pickup, and they did pay a lot to get him, but they're win now, baby. Also, they replaced a little bit of the depth. I like Ryan Murray when he fits well. There's been some up and down with him. I think they're going to be okay. Their main core is still together. Landeskog obviously resigns. That team's still a freaking force, and they're going to have a breakthrough. But it's starting to really weigh on them. That second round keeps getting them. They're the Toronto Maple Leafs of the second round. The Avs are your yearly reminder. Power rankings don't mean shit. Coming in at number 2 is your Tampa Bay Lightning. I wanted to put them at number 1 because back-to-back cups is back-to-back cups, baby. Like, double up on the ship. You can't even fit these yachts on the fucking lake. But the problem being, you lost your whole second line. I don't know how you replace that easily. Now, obviously, with Stamkos, Point, Kucherov, Vasilevsky, they're going to be fine. They're still elite. They have elite offense. Their defense is full of strong veterans and elite goaltending. I mean, I feel good about that, right? I would feel pretty good about that. Do I think they three-peat? It's a real tough road. But you can't drop them past second, especially when you hear who's third. There's an argument for the Vegas Golden Knights to be number 1. There really is. They took out my number 1 in the playoffs. They have added another star player in Dadonov. Nope, can't say that with a straight face. The reason I put the Golden Knights at 3 is because I did not like the removal of Marc-Andre Fleury. I did not like Thomas Nosek going away. Obviously, Ryan Reeves, although not sold on him as like an actual player year to year, he does give them a little boost. Bringing in Dadonov doesn't do enough for me to offset that. I don't love all the moves they've made, but that division sucks. That division is terrible, and they should kick the shit out of them all season. A President's Trophy is damn near likely. I mean, obviously, we are going back to playing everybody in the league, but you get your division guys more often. I don't see this team struggling at all during the regular season, unless Leonard falls off a cliff. But the drop-off between 3 and 4, I think, is substantial. Because coming in at number 4, you have your Florida Panthers. That's right, the Panthers are a top 4 team. They lose out on Drieger and Yandel. Both of those I can live with. If Knight is the real deal in net behind Bobrovsky, hopefully he steals that job from Bobrovsky because, that's a problem. Yandel was in a very protected role last year. I don't think they're going to miss him that much. Not overpaying Wenberg, I think that's the right decision. And bringing in Reinhart for the cost they got him at, I really like that move. This team is going to score in bunches. If Knight is the real deal, then they're going to be able to hold it down behind that tough defense, shoddy at best. I think this team's going to make some real noise. It's hard to see them not at least be a regular season stud. I'm not sold on their playoff success option yet because that division's going to be tough to come out of. Rounding out the top 5, and I wanted to drop this team lower. You want to punish teams for bad playoff performances. But we get to our first Canadian team in the Toronto Maple Leafs. Yeah. The Mrazek pickup, that's fine. It doesn't do a lot for me, and none of their other moves really move the needle for me either. But losing Hyman, although tough, it's not going to be the end of the world for that top 6. Foligno wasn't doing much for them. They barely used Big Save Dave. Anderson lost his job already. Guys, this team is a winning roster through and through. I don't know why they're not getting over the hump. I do sort of know why. But Austin Matthews continues to get better every year. Mitch Marner continues to get better every year. They've got some depth guys on the defensive end, young guys that are coming up. Hall looks good. I just don't see this team continuing to struggle in the playoffs. They're going to have a breakthrough eventually. The problem is eventually, and I have no idea when eventually is. But you can't look at that roster on paper and not say that's a top 5 team in the league. You can't. You literally can't. Now, if you buy in more to all the curse stuff, or you buy in more to they're too soft in the playoffs, fine. How often have we seen teams, and I've mentioned this in past videos, teams that have struggled to make a breakthrough in the playoffs? The Capitals were one, the Blues not really the same. But then one year they just haven't. Toronto fits that bill, man. One year they're just going to have it. They're going to get through the first round. All that pressure is going to wash away, and they're going to start cruising. Them beating the finals wouldn't be that big of a surprise next year. I mean, it'd be devastating. It's so fun watching them lose, but it wouldn't be that much of a surprise with that roster. Number 6, a lot of people are going to get really mad at me about, and I'm sorry it's not more like fun graphic stuff. I just don't know how to do all that stuff. Number 6, I'm sorry, Islanders fans. You're no longer getting disrespected. You're no longer the underdogs. Now you have the expectations. Figure it out. Figure it out. The Islanders still have a lot of work to do. Palmieri and Parisi continue to be unsigned. I'm sure that they'll get it worked out sooner or later. And losing Eberle, no fun, but it's not as big a loss as I think people are going to make it out to be. A healthy Anders Lee coming back, and Barry Trotz continuing to work his magic. This team's going to be the best in the Metro, and I don't think they're going to falter outside of injury trouble the way they did last year. All right, everybody. Here's where you can turn off the video. The Boston Bruins are your number 7 team. I think this is a fair placement. I honestly wanted to move them lower. The loss of Krejci really stings. The bottom 6, although improved in my book, probably doesn't move the needle enough to make up for lacking a true 2C. Ullmark, as much as I love him, is probably a downgrade from Rask. We got a lot of question marks. But there wasn't a team I could put higher than Boston at this point, and 7 feels right. I think it's funny how people will hear those first couple statements from, like, you just named a bunch of negatives, you're still number 7. And when you also say, hey, our top line's elite, we have 2/3 of an elite second line, we have a number 1 goaltender who's pretty solid, and our defense, at least the top 2, are really fucking good, all of a sudden you go, oh, you're only 7th. I think it's a fair placement. It was hard for me to put us below the Islanders, but we did get shellacked by them when they're missing their captain. So we had our own injuries to deal with. I'm just saying I'm going to give them their respect right now. That means we're the underdogs. Yeah, let's do it. Carolina. This one's a lot. Let's see here. Out, Dougie Hamilton, Peter Mrazek, Alex Nedeljkovic, James Reimer, Warren Fogle, Brock McGinn, Morgan Geekie, bigger loss than we're making it out to be, trust me, Yanni Hakanpää, and Jake Bean. That's a lot of losses. But additions, you got Tony DeAngelo, as controversial as it is, the guy can play hockey, Antti Ranta, Ian Cole, Josh Levo, I don't know how to say that last name, Ethan Bear, Derek Stepan, Frederick Anderson, Jalen Chatfield, Brennan Smith. I am not sold on a lot of those names, but Tony DeAngelo does make their defense better. Antti Ranta is a nice little pickup. I do not like the Frederick Anderson deal, but they've been bad in goaltending forever, and they still have that really solid core. Sebastian Aho's great. Svechnikov's awesome. They have what they need to compete. Number 8 feels right for them. I feel really confident about them wiping out most teams below them. You think it's time for another Canadian team yet? I think so. Edmonton Oilers at number 9. That's right, they're still top 10. We got a ways to go, guys. The addition of Zach Hyman does make them better right now. That's a long deal for a lot of money, but it makes them better right now. They'll work it out down the road. They gotta figure out this front office, though, man. No one in the league trusts them. No one should. I like the Warren Fogle pickup. I do not like the loss of Ethan Bear. Adam Larson, I'm indifferent on. This team defensively is probably going to stink again. But McDavid's going to McDavid, man. I can't put them out of the top 10. And for those of you keeping track at home, I've named 2 Canadian teams. Neither one was the one in the finals. Spoiler alert, might take a minute to get to them. I feel like a lot of what I said so far hasn't been that controversial, but at number 10, I expect a little bit of flack. I got the Dallas Stars coming off a real rough season, a lot of COVID issues, a lot of injuries. Radulov and Sagan were not healthy. I think this team bounces back in a big way. Now, their run to the Cup final, we can talk about maybe they were or were not a fluke. I still think they have enough there to really put up a fight against most anybody. There is one major question mark, and that's Braden Holtby in net, because Ben Bishop does not look like he's going to be ready to go. There's going to be a lot of opinions on the Stars. I'm high on them. Number 11, the Rangers. Now, this is another fun little exercise in who came in and who came out, because you got Goodrow for way too long. You got Dryden Hunt, Sammy Bly, Patrick Nemeth, Ryan Reeves, Jared Tenorti. Ryan Reeves, Jared Tenorti, Tom Wilson. Yes, it appears that they are stocking up to defend some of their younger guys. They got rid of a lot of skill. Pavel Buchnevich, that guy's great. He's really fucking good. Giving him up for a second, just unbelievable. But they lose out on Buchnevich. They were thinking they couldn't re-sign him. Tony DeAngelo. Now, of course, that's a different scenario, but that's talent leaving the building. They have young guys that are looking to take the next step. That's why they're 11th. 11th is not an insult. In fact, 11th puts them in the playoffs. That's not an insult. I did not like their offseason. And had their offseason been better, probably place them higher. This team should be in the mix in the Metro. They might be first-round fodder, but they'll be in the mix come end of the year. Pittsburgh, number 12. We're looping some Metro guys together here. The team got worse. Jared McCann and Brayden Tanev, gone. Those are two guys who can play. I did not like their offseason. Bringing in Danton Heinen and Brock McGinn doesn't do a lot for me. Here's the thing. They still have Sid the Kid. And, I mean, he's not Tom Brady's age, but I'm following the same rule where I'm not saying Pittsburgh's done until Sid's gone. The team's going to be competitive. They always will be with him. If Tristan Jarry can get a little bit of talent back, just a little bit, the team's going to be annoying to play against. They are. Their offseason wasn't great, though. This is where things got really tough for me. We're currently on number 13. And as you know, there's a couple places that teams tend to clump. 13 through 18 tends to really hard to differentiate. 26 to 31, because usually there's a 32nd, you go, yes, you are 32nd. But 26 to 31, same thing. You're kind of like, you all suck. I don't know what I'm supposed to do with you. But so at 13th, I have our third Canadian team. That's right, the long-awaited Winnipeg Jets. Yeah, I'm really low on the Habs, guys. The Jets did what they had to. Nate Schmidt, Brennan Dillon. Shore up that defense a little bit. Here's the thing. The reason they're still 13th, and a lot of people have them higher on their lists. The reason they're still 13th for me. I am not sold on their elite offensive top line. I'm really not. I think they have some good players there. I don't think they're as good as people make them out to be. Defensively, they're still not going to be great. And Hellbuck, God, can he keep this up? I don't know. This team does not seem like a Stanley Cup team to me. It seems like it would be another miracle run if they went to the finals. I like Winnipeg. I like rooting for Winnipeg. They got better. I still can't put them above the middling era of the league. I really can't. Washington. Well, they managed to stop the bleeding a little bit by trading back for Vitek Vanacek. That was not cap circumvention. A lot of people were like, well, I thought the Canadians couldn't do it because the $10 million. There was no held salary or anything like that. It was just straight up trade him back to us. Vanacek's their young goalie of the future. They're high on him. Good, great, fun. This is an aging core of guys that still have plenty left in the tank, but just cannot continue to compete at a higher level. They just can't. And I think they'd have to make some pretty serious moves, or somebody's really going to have to surprise us in that farm system, because I just don't see them. They're definitely not making noise in the playoffs. Currently at 14th, because I have so many Metro guys ahead of them, they're not making the playoffs by my rankings. That feels wrong. This team is one of those where if you put them 4 spots higher, I'd be like, okay. If you put them 4 spots lower, I'd be like, well, but yeah, okay, I get it. They're a really tough one to call, but Brendan Dillon loss is a big one. I liked Rothel. They lost him. Craig Anderson, no one cares, right? Have fun in Buffalo, bud. I love the guy. Don't get me wrong. That's a guy you can root for outside of 2017. But this team did not get better. They got another year older. And they kind of flamed out last year. I'm not very high on the Capitals. The good news, though, is that we all get to watch Ovi chase history, getting that extension. It's going to be fun. That'll be a really fun thing to watch. And I honestly am rooting for him either to do it or to not even get close. Because I'd hate for it to come down to, well, there was a lockout season and a half season, and I'd rather him either clear it and you just go, good job, greatest goal scorer of all time, or don't clear it and be like, it's not really much of a debate, you weren't even close. We'll still debate it either way. St. Louis Blues, number 15, right in the middle. Oh wait, that's not right in the middle anymore. But I wanted to drop them lower because I don't see anything left of that championship team that can really make the push. But that Buchnevich deal as it stands, amazing. Amazing. And if Tarasenko does play for him this year, which is still a possibility, this team's good. I mean, offensively, they're good. If Binnington can come back to form a little bit, they're a hard out. They are a hard out. If Tarasenko doesn't come back for them, they might drop farther on my eyes. There is another little drop-off here, though. So it'd be a hard sell. St. Louis makes the playoffs, but just barely. Speaking of playoff teams, number 16, the actual middle of the pack now, Chicago. This was another one that I feel like a lot of people are going to have either way higher on their list or way lower on the list, because I think this is a controversial team as it stands outside of all of the controversy with this team. I don't like the loss of Suter. I don't like the loss of Boquist. I love the Keith trade. Getting Fleury is awesome. You literally got him for nothing. McCabe's a good, solid defenseman. This team got better. Seth Jones, you overpaid, but he's better than what you had. This team did get better. This team will be more competitive next year. A healthy Taves, Patrick Kane doing his thing. He's not done. This team's going to be really fucking annoying to play against. Do they have enough to make another run at the Cup? I don't think so. Fleury would have to really shut it down for a year. He's capable of it, though. Speaking of middle of the league, Minnesota, a team that actively got worse. Most of their depth pieces that they lost are really going to be felt. Here's the thing. They've got Kaprizov. Who cares? This team is going right back to middle of the pack, always going to be dead set on the league, just like they've been for the past decade. But they're going to be really fun to watch because of that one kid. So good for you guys. I really hope you prove me wrong and you finish top 5 in the league and you go on a run, because I really like rooting for Minnesota. This roster got worse, though. Not a lot of depth. Goaltending isn't there. Defense isn't there. That Soucy loss is going to be felt. Good luck, but I'm rooting for you. Finally, we get to the team that we've all been waiting for, Seattle. This was a really tough team to place because they still have a lot of cap room. But as it stands right now, they have a ton of depth. They can roll 4 lines of NHL players, whether that be like high-end NHL players, not so much, but they can roll 4 lines. Their defense is above average, and their goaltending should be pretty good with Grubauer in net. I am not sold on them being able to score enough. I am not sold on all the decisions that have been made so far. I'm not sold on their coaching. So, 18th sounds about right. I will say, this team will make the playoffs likely because their division's so bad. But, if they do, they're going to be a really annoying out. Being able to roll 4 lines of actual NHL players come playoff time, it can really grind a team down. So I wouldn't be shocked to see them get past the first round by someone in that division that's just terrible. But second round's too much. I don't think they get past the second round. I still think it's a stretch to even make the playoffs. But right now, as it stands, I will guess they make the playoffs and second round. Devils, number 19. Not a lot to say about this team. They got a lot better if everyone is as advertised. Dougie Hamilton, Bernier, Ryan Graves, all coming in. Ryan Murray, not as big a loss. I like him in certain scenarios, but he wasn't playing very well for them. No one else really matters that they actually lost, shipped out, whatever. They have the chance to make the biggest leap. And they should be a lot of fun to watch. And if Hughes continues to get better, this team is going to be one of those, they're on the fringe halfway through the season. They're not going to trade anything off at the deadline. I don't think they're going to make exactly the next step to get in the playoffs, but there's always one team that surprises you. This might be it. Number 20. We are officially at the point of how do I break these teams up? But we're going to start with the Calgary Flames. That's right. We're still not at the Habs. This feels like wishful thinking on my part. And 20 isn't high, obviously. But it feels like wishful thinking. Because Giordano, huge loss. I don't care about his age. The presence in the room, that's a huge loss. But they got some real talent. Gaudreau and Tkachuk, awesome. Really hard to play against. This team, I wish they would return to that speedy bullshit cardiac kids thing they did, where it just felt like at any given point, they could fly past you and put one in the net. And that was years ago. There's something wrong and toxic in that locker room, and I doubt this changes this offseason. But I hope for their sake it does. Because again, those guys are really fun to watch. But when the team sucks, no one's that fun to watch. The next two picks might be some controversy in them. First of all, we got Philadelphia at number 21. The reason being is Carter Hart sucked last year. He did. He was terrible. And he just got signed for a 4-year deal for too much money. I think it was 3.6 or 3.7 a year. Obviously, you got to make that bet on a kid that was lights out, that was deemed the next Carey Price by people who shouldn't have been saying it. They forced him up too quickly. This is my concern with Swayman. Don't do that. But they got better with Ryan Ellis. They did not get better with Ristolainen. Their whole offseason is a mixed bag. But if Carter Hart returns to form, Ryan Ellis takes over that defensive squad and gets everyone with their heads out of their asses, this team can make some noise. Not playoff noise, but they'll have a couple streaks this season where you go, all right, they're turning the corner. They're looking good. They are no longer the team of last year where there was everyone's dark horse pick to make some real noise and push for a playoff spot and take out a good team or two. No, this team is now, we're going to sit back and watch. And I could not place them any higher than the back third. Number 22, the Ottawa Senators. The response to this should not be, damn, he's high on the Senators. It should be, damn, he's low on the Canadiens. Because the Canadiens have still not come off the board. They were in the finals. But this Senators team continues to improve. They didn't do a lot with this offseason, but Dadonov getting shipped out, I'm super fine with that. He was not having a great time there. The young guys should continue to get better. If Murray returns to form a little bit, and I keep saying that about the goaltenders because goaltending's so fickle. So a lot of this, if the goaltending gets better, means they're going up the power rankings. It's not where they currently are. If Murray continues the way he's playing, they'll still be right here. If he gets better, they'll be up 18, 17. This team is a lot of fun to watch, and they finally feel like they have some heart. I'm a little worried about the new direction that he took with the draft, but that's a whole different conversation. This team's getting better, and they're believing that they're good enough to stay in games against teams. Now, they're going to get punched in the mouth a little bit when they're not playing against Canadian teams who are taking them really lightly. But they're going to do some shocking stuff this year. Just like last year. They're going to have some big comebacks because they have that scoring finish. They have that scoring touch. They have those youthful legs to keep skating all game long. I like this Ottawa team. They're fun. They're really fun to watch. You really do try to get into an Ottawa game or two the first month of the season. They are genuinely fun hockey to watch. Number 23, the LA Kings. Not a lot to say. They look like they're getting better. They look like the rebuild's going well. They look like they're about to take the next step with Denal to steal some games, get a little more veteran presence in there. I like what they're doing. There's not a lot to say about a team like this that's finally getting up off the ground. But the rebuild seems to be on its way to being over. Not there, but on its way. On the other side of that coin is the Montreal Canadiens. Coming in at number 24. They brought in Hoffman, a struggling Hoffman, Perral, Savard, Paquette. None of these move the needle all that much. A struggling Hoffman is the best chance they have at a guy with some real talent coming in. They lost Denal, which good job by them not overpaying for him, but I mean he was still a top line guy for them. Corey Perry was huge for them last year. He went off to the Lightning. Cale Fleury is a good player. This team got worse. And I know you want to call it Boston bias, but this team barely made the playoffs in what was largely considered one of the weaker divisions. Even after their finals run, I think we can still kind of look around and go, it still didn't look like a very hard division. They went on a miracle run, which good for them. That's not a bad thing. Like, that happens. This team got worse, and they barely squeaked into the playoffs last year. And now they're going back to the Atlantic, where Toronto, Boston, Tampa, Florida, they're all sitting there looking at Montreal like, okay, come on, let's go on your run again. This team does not make the playoffs next year. They don't. They have some young guys that will continue to move forward. They're still in a rebuild. And I think they know that. They had a lot of fun in the postseason with their run. They're still in a rebuild. 24 sounds about right because they did actively get worse. That's not the wrong move for them. They still need to acquire picks. They still need to acquire talent. Coming in at number 25, Detroit. The Detroit Red Wings. I love what they got in the Mantha trade and using that pick to get a high-end goaltender prospect. Love it. Currently, your boy is going to be Nedeljkovic. Love that acquisition. That's a worthwhile risk. Obviously, maybe he falls off a cliff. They won't care. The rebuild is going really well. They're stockpiling talent and picks. This team's going to improve. They're taking the rebuild really seriously. And that fan base isn't going anywhere. You guys keep chugging along. Good for you. Okay, 26, Vancouver. In Connor Garland, Jason Dickinson, Yaroslav Halak, Brad Hunt, Oliver Ekman, Larson, Philip Giuseppe, Justin Darling, Tucker Pullman. Awful signing, by the way. Tucker Pullman's terrible. Luke Shen. Out. Nate Schmidt, Alex Edler, Braden Holtby, Jalen Chatfield, Antoine Rossell, Louis Erickson, Jay Beagle. I recently had a conversation about the Vancouver Canucks with a couple of Vancouver Canuck fans. And they are a lot higher on Oliver Ekman-Larsson than I am, which makes their whole offseason look way better. It really does, if they think he's a top-pairing talent. Now, I disagree. This was a very respectful conversation. I was proud that it stayed respectful. Twitter is not always like that. This team is going to be the bottom third in the league for the next 5 years. I'm going to write it in pen. They have some young talent, but the cap situation is not great. I don't know how far Peterson and Quinn Hughes can take this team. That defense is going to be terrible this year. It looks really bad. And although they probably got a little bit better in goal, I just don't see it. So, good luck. Prove me wrong, Vancouver, but I got nothing for you on this one. 27, Nashville Predators. They got worse. The Ellis trade, an abomination. I hated it. Getting rid of Victor Arvidsson, I get some capital back. This team will be full rebuild by the time the deadline comes around. And if they aren't, that franchise is in trouble because they're about to delay a rebuild. They really are about to do that. They were super hot for a month last year. They were the best team in the league. Good for them. This roster doesn't have enough. It's aging out. It does not have enough. It has too many high-paid guys that aren't moving the needle. Looking at you, Duchesne. They need to start the rebuild, and they need to start it now. Big fan of Juice, though. So, goaltended. At number 28, a team that knows they had to rebuild, Columbus. They're blowing it up. I like a lot of what you did. I don't... The Cam Atkinson's for Voracek, fine, whatever. Just keep doing your thing. The Corrali deal's too much, but you're blowing it up. You're taking the step through the rebuild that has to happen again. It's the right decision. So, I mean, I'm not insulting most of the teams by putting them down here. A lot of teams know, like, yeah, we're going to kind of suck next year, but we kind of have to. That's just the way it works. 29, San Jose. At least they got rid of Martin Jones. Good. 30, Anaheim. They didn't do anything, right? Like, can we just rescue Gibson? Because this team is awful, and I mean, they're in the middle of a rebuild, but they've given me no reason to watch them at all. It's a bad team. I'll pay attention again when you get somewhere that I should pay attention to. Like, there's not a single player on the Ducks right now where I'm like, I gotta watch these guys. So, next. The last two teams have something in common. They both had a great offseason. They're both going to be absolutely terrible. At number 31, I put the Arizona Coyotes because they're going to be terrible. They are actively tanking. Good for them. I put them above Buffalo because they're still dealing with the Eichel thing over in Buffalo. I don't know. You could switch either of these for me. I'm probably going to agree. I don't know if Arizona can survive another rebuild, but they're starting another one. Buffalo, guys, 32, ushering in the new age with 32 teams as number 32. You're going to be terrible next year. You're going to be so bad, and you know you're going to be so bad, and I feel for you. If you have been a fan of Buffalo and have been watching this channel, you know that I authentically feel for you guys. This team's going to suck. It's going to be so bad everywhere. The only thing about this offseason that really... Now, obviously, the Eichel situation is the Eichel situation. I really like most of the offseason. Losing Olmark for nothing hurts. I get that. Oh, boy. This team's going to be bad. But could be kind of fun to watch. No, it's not going to be fun to watch. So there you have it. 1 through 32 power rankings. Way too early power rankings. Let me know in the comments below where you disagree or agree. Again, thank you so much for all the likes, comments, subscribes, all that stuff. We're creeping towards 300, man, in the off season. That's crazy. That's so fucking crazy. But if you're still watching at this point, because I know this is going to be a longer one, thank you so much. The support's awesome, and it's very appreciated. I continue to have so much fun with this. Go Bees!